Good morning and welcome to LinkedIn Creating Business Opportunities presented by Norma Foster. Good morning, Norma. How are you this morning?
Good morning. Really good. Thank you. And really looking forward to our session with everyone this morning.
Fantastic. Well, I won't keep you from that any longer, so I'll just back out and let you crack on.
Smashing. Thanks, Rory.
Thank you.
So fabulous, everyone. And I'm just getting the slides up here. That's wonderful. So welcome. I'm very, very excited to be sharing the presentation with you today, LinkedIn Creating Business Opportunities. It's just such a fabulous tool for winning new business. LinkedIn, with 690 million people across over 200 countries and regions worldwide, is just one of the best resources for business development and bringing in new business. And, you know, it's business, but it's personal. And we know that 80% of new business comes from word of mouth recommendations and referrals in your professional networks. So what better way to tap into those than through using LinkedIn effectively. And a lot of clients that I work with, they either go connect, and they're all busy on LinkedIn and getting lots of connections, but then don't really know what to do with them, or they're going ignore, or delete, and not really engaging and not really doing anything. But I also hear from a lot of people that they're somewhere in the middle and they're doing bits, but actually how do we get much more effective with our time? Because social media is the perfect way to waste time when you think you're doing good stuff. So how do we get more effective with time and make sure that we're getting great results? So that's what I'm here to share with you today. Just a little bit about myself. I run my own consultancy business, Norma Foster Limited, but we have established the No Fuss Group, a not-for-profit this year, to really support businesses and champion the cause of UK to international business development, particularly in these challenging times. So from the No Fuss Group, we're looking at helping people get to grips with digital, with language and with cultural issues across the globe and develop your business into something more successful that's in line with your vision for that company. Now, LinkedIn, amazing resource that it is, one of the best optimized resources on the web. Its mantra is success powered by relationships. Remember, 80% of all new business comes from people that we know, referrals, recommendations, and word of mouth. So we're going to be really tapping into this. And I think one of the first things that I wanted to share with you, the chap who set up LinkedIn initially, Reid Hoffman, started off in his back bedroom, like so many of us, in 2002, 2003. And his mantra was, if I am connecting with someone and if I am entering into a conversation with them, then I want that connection to be meaningful. So yes, it's ideal to have a big network on LinkedIn because you're not searching all 690 million people on LinkedIn. You are actually just searching on your network. So let's imagine I connect to Rory. We're a first degree connection. I can communicate with him as much as possible. Rory knows someone called Sam. I don't know Sam, but through Rory, I can get that connection. So that is a second degree connection. And Sam knows someone else. That would then be a third degree connection. So on LinkedIn, I am building a network. And if I connect to good people on LinkedIn and develop my network, I am extending my reach on LinkedIn. I am creating a bigger network and I am extending my search capacity, which means that I have more to go at from a business development perspective. So developing a good, strong, that means top quality network of people who are into networking and have built a good sized network that they are communicating with regularly actually supports me, because I have around, I think, 5,600 connections at the moment, but that actually connects me for second and third degree connections to about 25, 30 million people. So the potential for me there to create new business opportunities is quite substantial. So success powered by relationships, that's what we're looking for today. So I'm going to take you through the entire marathon of how to create business opportunities. And these are my top tips for our session today. I am showing you the whole piece at a fairly top level. And today is really for you to select from what you hear today, those aspects which are most meaningful to you. So from knowing your audience, who are the customers that you really want to start talking to on LinkedIn that could lead to new business? What's your niche? Because if you have a niche and you target your marketing and communications and sales efforts at that niche, you will have more success. First impressions are critical. We don't get a second opportunity to make a first impression. So it's really important that you have a strong, what I like to call welcome mat, that you've got a great profile that is you putting your best foot forward and making that grand impression. Targeting your A-listers, your A-list clients, so really getting clear through customer profiling who you want to connect with and making sure that you are targeting them, that you are doing advanced searches, finding them on LinkedIn, inviting them to connect. And then once you're connected, then what? Because just collecting connections on LinkedIn isn't going to get you anywhere. You know, it's just a number on a dashboard. It's meaningless. Where the real value is what you are doing with those people, and how are you adding value to their professional lives, or even their personal lives for that matter. How are you giving to them, sharing of your experience and your expertise, looking after your network, so that when you want to tap into that network from a sales perspective, it starts to serve you well. Part of that is obviously posting with purpose, and posts on LinkedIn are one of the best ways for you to maximize business opportunities, getting your stuff out there so that you're visible, so that people notice that you are the go-to expert in your field, that you're someone who really knows their stuff, and they start engaging with you and getting into a dialogue. And that's exactly what we want, because that leads to new business opportunities. And then finally, preparing to plan, not just planning, but actually stepping back and taking time out and having all of the preparations necessary to allow you to make an effective plan that you can then implement well for optimum results. So Rory has very kindly shared a workbook that I've prepared for this session. That is to allow you to go back. Some of the most important slides are in there and the key points, but there are exercises that you will be able to take away from today's session and put more into when you get back to the desk, that will help you get clarity and confidence that you are working on LinkedIn and will get a good result. So I'd like to move across now to our poll, which Rory is going to put up for us. What is your biggest challenge on LinkedIn? And there are a number of options here for you, and I'd really just like you to pick the one that resonates the most with you. What is the biggest challenge that you currently have on LinkedIn? I'll give you a few moments just to complete the poll. Have a think about it and choose the one that you feel is your biggest challenge. Lots of movement here. This is looking good. Interesting. Jolly good. I think we may well have most people now who have completed this. 24 of 27. Some people are still thinking about it. So really, really interesting. So a lot of you are saying you get connections, but you don't know what to do next. And that is something that we will really be focusing on today. How to find new clients using LinkedIn. And that comes down to advanced search, which a lot of you are just not familiar with. So we're going to spend some time sharing that with you as well. Short on time, I think that resonates with all of us. We invite people to connect with us, but they don't reply. We're not getting that engagement. And yeah, creating posts and content is really stressful. So I've got some good tips for you around that during the session that we will be able to take a closer look at. So thank you so much for sharing that. Really, really useful. And I'm just going to close the poll down here. So thank you. That was really, really helpful. So where I'd like to start today, and a lot of people are not entirely familiar with this, LinkedIn as part of their Sales Navigator, which is a paid for premium service, have put up for the use of everyone, even basic members, something called the Social Selling Index score. And this is a great tool for benchmarking. So first on your action plan, and if you have a sheet of paper, I'm going to be calling out lots of action points for you today that you can jot down. And at the end, you will have an opportunity to select the ones that are really most important and meaningful to you. But first action is for you to check out your Social Selling Index score. Now, this is a score that LinkedIn provide you. It is updated daily, and there are 4 core areas that they look at, the algorithms look at in order to come up with this score. Establishing your professional brand. You know, have you completed a great profile? Have you done all of the right things? And are you putting your best foot forward? Are you using the advanced search and finding the right people and actually engaging with them? Are you engaging with insights? Are you putting forward quality, authoritative content and actually engaging in meaningful discussions with people? And the final one is building relationships. Are you proactively going out and building relationships, but then engaging with them? Because just making connections isn't meaningful, but leading on to meaningful conversations and some sharing and caring will all 4 elements of these, they will all contribute to that social selling index score going up and going up quite quickly if you really engage with LinkedIn. So this could be part of your planning. It could be part of the next 4 weeks, just helping you to get to grips with LinkedIn and make sure that you are getting the results that you deserve, because this, let's face it, it is all quite hard work. So that's the first thing, your social selling index score. The next thing I'd like you to be aware of is just what your LinkedIn profile looks like. And I've done a screen grab of my profile here. So we've got a great background image that is reflective of your branding with our NoFus group logo here. And then a good head and shoulders shot is LinkedIn's terms and conditions. Request ask for a good head and shoulders shot, not you wrestling crocodiles on holiday in Australia, or, you know, with the whole family, grandma, the kids, etc., etc. So head and shoulders shot, because a lot of communication actually happens face to face. You know, that thing about words are only 7% of communications. It's actually look and feel and perception and tone of voice and all of these other things that really communicate the most to us. Underneath that, you have 120 characters for your headline. And you will see here, I've put export communications, a downward line, business development, another downward line, public speaker and trainer, helping your business grow and succeed worldwide. So this is your elevator pitch, and we will be focusing on this in due course. It's your opportunity to set yourself apart from everyone else who might just be putting managing director, no fuss group, or whatever. So it takes time to reflect on this. It's also keyword rich, so we need to get the keywords right there. Then underneath we've got the about section, 2,600 characters now, and we'll be delving into that. This is your executive summary of your professional career, what's important to you now, and what can you include in that about section that will impress people and also encourage and inspire them to connect with you and to start that conversation. Now, the important aspect here, and we're coming on to all of that, so don't worry, we'll be going through that in some detail. The important elements at the bottom is benchmarking. I'd like you to take a benchmark of where you are at. So at the bottom here, we've got the dashboard, and this is what it looks like. This is entirely private to you, and you will get a number of different things. And this is on your home screen. Nobody else can see this. You have who's viewed your profile, post views, so views of posts that you've put up there, and how many search appearances you have had. And for premium members, this is over the last, I think it's the last 4 weeks, I'm not sure about that, but that is metrics that are really important to you, and you can keep an eye on that. In the top right hand corner, you have also got your status on LinkedIn, and through completing your LinkedIn profile, we want to get you to all-star status, not beginner or intermediate. We need you at all-star status. So please jot down your benchmark and be very clear about your progression, because we tend to forget how much we've done and achieved. So in 4 weeks' time, I would like you to be going back and benchmarking how far your LinkedIn profile has progressed. The next thing I'd like to share with you is that we all actually have a personal QR code for our LinkedIn profile that not many people are aware of. And this is where you find it on your mobile phone. So if you have the app, the LinkedIn app on your mobile phone, and you open it up, you will see here in the top search bar, there are 4 squares. And when you touch on that, it brings up the screen on the right-hand side. And you have the opportunity to scan a QR code. And on the right-hand side, you've got your QR code. Now, to create business opportunities, you actually want to be using this as much as possible. I always put it up on webinars and take it to workshops, and all you do is click on scan on the app on your phone, and if you held that up now to the screen, you will get my profile up instantly, and then you can invite me to connect, for example. Or if you have teammates and you want to do it with teammates, then that is a great facility. I would recommend as well that you put this where appropriate on marketing literature. You might want it on your website pages, your team pages. So have a good think about where this QR code might stand you in good stead. So moving on, I want to share with you my 5 key principles for working online, and particularly working on LinkedIn. So the first principle, people buy from people that they trust. And when we are working online, it is all about developing trust. And typically you have 2 visitors to any online resource. You have people who come to your website or your LinkedIn profile to check you out. And if they like what they see, they understand it, and it's attractive and meaningful to them, then they will engage with you further. You also have search engines, and the search engines will be influenced by how many people are finding and staying and engaging with your online resources. But they also want it to be a well-built, well-developed resource, that you are a good webmaster or a good manager of your LinkedIn presence, and you have completed it to the best of your ability, and you are looking after it, and you're using it, and you're creating content and sharing it. And that builds trust with the search engines and with your audience. So it's really important that you get this aspect right. And we know that trust online has two key elements to it. One is that you are showcasing yourself as someone who's competent and capable and really knows their stuff. You're the go-to expert in your field, but that you also care about your customers, that you want them to have a great experience, that you're putting the customers first and yourself second. And those two elements will create respect and affection, and that leads to online trust. Second principle, people are going to check you out on the web. Whether your LinkedIn profile or website is up to scratch or not, people are going to check you out on the web, and they will form opinions about you, irrespective of whether that's up to date, whether you wanted to change it, but you've been so busy you've not got round to it. They will form their opinions. And what is really important for you to know here is that 90% of people will have decided whether they want to do business with you before they even make first contact. So people are going to check you out. They are also going to make decisions. And if they kind of don't like what they see because it's not quite up to scratch or good quality, then you are already on the back foot when you come to creating business opportunities from LinkedIn. So we need to get your welcome mat in good order. I know I'm repeating myself quite a lot here, but I do want this message to ring true and to hit home. People are only going to read the headlines, so we need to master the art of being explicit and creating very, very impactful headlines. And when you consider that the attention span on the web is a whopping 1.7 seconds before we decide whether we're staying or going, and that is based on, you know, these two elements of, is this relevant to what I'm looking for, and do I trust this online resource? Then you've got about 7 to 10 words that people can read in 1.7 seconds to actually get that message home. So in that short sentence, which needs to be at the top of every online page you create, you need to make sure that it has the main keywords in there and an impactful, attractive message that will inspire people to read on. So we need to spend a lot of time creating relevant, impactful headlines as well. Then we have this aspect of put yourself in your customer's shoes. And this is a big one, and we're going to be spending quite a bit of time on this and actually looking at customer profiling, because you are creating your website and your LinkedIn company page and your LinkedIn profile for your customers, not for you. So it doesn't really matter whether you like it. Yes, I'm interested in that when I'm working with clients, but what is important is that your customers like it and it is working well for your customers as well. So we need to understand the wants and needs and preferences of our customers, and we need to create something online that they will be able to find easily, that they will be able to engage with easily, and that they can connect with you and they can do business with you. So easy to find, easy to read, easy to contact, and easy to do business with. That is our mantra for today. And a big part of that is understanding your customers, their needs and wants and preferences. And finally, we have this element of strengthen your personal brand. LinkedIn is all about you getting on your soapbox and shouting about the great things that you have and can do for your customers. What's your experience? What's your expertise? What's your offer? And not in an arrogant, braggish sort of way, but very clear, very assertive, and obviously very caring for your customers, but to get that message across about how great you are at what you do and how great you are to work with. So, moving on, there are a number of things that I'd like to show you on the home page, which is what you see here, my home page, that are particularly important. Up at the top, the black bar is your navigation bar, which appears everywhere you are on LinkedIn. On the left-hand side here, where it says Norma Foster, and you can see my picture and my headline. Get it, guys? Anywhere you appear on LinkedIn, that is what I get to see. So we need to craft a background image, a picture, and a headline that really works hard for you. And you do need to bear in mind when you are doing your background image that when it's on a mobile device or a smaller device, or in this particular search, the photograph moves over to the center. So you don't want to be putting your company logo or your core message in the middle of the screen. It needs to be over on the right-hand side. So we have a number of things here. We'll be going later into how to create posts and articles. That's in the middle. And then in the center, you have your news feed. And anyone that you connect with, you will see their posts and their news in the central news feed. And I've got lots of advice about how to make that work well for you in the latter part of the session. Then up at the top here, you have a few things. One is view your profile. So here you will see there's a little picture in the top of the screen that says me. And when I click on there, it shows me a couple of things that are really important. And this is your next thing to check out after this session. Your next piece of homework is settings and privacy and the help screen. Now, settings and privacy looks like this when you click on it. And you need to know that when you set up your profile on LinkedIn, LinkedIn applies standard settings. And as they say at the top, you are the boss of your account. So you can go through all of these settings from a privacy and a communications perspective, but particularly the privacy element, and you can change these settings to suit your purpose. Now, yes, you can hide your profile, you can hide your first degree connections, you can restrict how visible your profile is and who can see your contact details, etc. I always recommend strongly that you are an open networker and you share as much as you possibly can, but I do understand there are some elements and business sectors where that is perhaps not as possible or perhaps not to be recommended. So this needs some consideration, but please reflect on this and take care when you are deciding on the privacy elements on your LinkedIn profile. Then the help screen, and I'll just flick back. You can see here under settings and privacy, we have help. And on the help screen, if you don't know how to do anything on LinkedIn, you just go to help, type in your question here, how to remove a connection, and LinkedIn gives you a very easy step-by-step guide as to how you can achieve that. So a few quick hits, quick wins there, a few things for you to focus on in terms of setting up and understanding and getting ready with LinkedIn. So I'd now like to deep dive into getting to know your audience. And after this section, we will be taking a breather where I will be taking some questions. So if you do have questions, please type them into the chat box or the Q&A, and Rory will be picking out some of the questions for me to answer at the end of each section. I think we've got about 2 or 3 question breaks for you. So knowing your audience. So what I'd like you to jot down as part of your benchmark, and you'll be able to do all of this in your workbook as you're going through this for homework after the session, is to jot down how many people you have in your current network. Now, you may have 20, you may have 200, you may have 2,000 or more. If you have got a big network, it's probably not practical to go through and start removing connections. You can do that on an iterative basis, but you do need to reflect about who do I want in my new networking group, because that's essentially what LinkedIn is. And make no mistake about it, you will be judged by your network and the people you know. You know, if you sign up to go to a networking session, first of all, you want to know what the key theme is and what you're going to talk about. And the second aspect is who else is there and who am I going to be able to network with? So you need to choose your connections carefully. That could be a mixture of, have they got a great profile? Have they got a lot of connections? I might not be interested in them, but I may well be interested in their network. And by getting a first degree connection to them, you get access to their connections. It may well be they've got an awful LinkedIn profile, but it happens to be someone called Barack Obama, and you're not going to refuse a connection to that.
It appears we're experiencing some technical difficulties here with Norma's screen. We'll just give it a few moments to see if it'll sort itself out.
So you do need to take a close look at their LinkedIn profiles.
Hi Norma, you just froze for a second there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Missed about 30 seconds, maybe 20 seconds.
So do you want me to go back to the start of this slide? Can you hear me okay now?
Yes, loud and clear.
Great. All right, smashing. So I'll repeat that again for you. Apologies for that. So I want you to analyze your current network. If you have a big network, then do this on an iterative basis. But you will be judged by your connections. So you do need to take care as to who you are connected with. You need to choose people carefully. Before you connect with them, look at their profile. Have they got a great profile? Have they got good LinkedIn connections? Do I want to do business with them? If not, have a look at their connections. Have they got a lot of connections that could be interesting for me? In which case, I am going to invite them to connect. If they've got an awful profile and they're called Barack Obama, you may well want to connect with them anyway. So there are a number of factors for you to think about. Is that person useful? Is their network useful? What sort of impression will they make if I have lots of poor looking profiles and poor quality connections in my network? It's not going to serve you well. So do take time to get to grips with that aspect. And you can see you can remove LinkedIn connections. Go to the help section, check out how to do that. It is very easy. And it doesn't send a message to that person saying, boo, Norma's severed the communication. You've now gone back to a second or third degree connection. So there's no message goes back to the person you were connected with. The other aspect is then prioritizing those connections you want to keep. And we will be profiling your A-list target clients. They're the people who are well connected to your target market, who can help you achieve that short to medium term goals. The B-listers may be useful at some point in time, long-term goals, but not now. And the C-listers are probably unlikely to achieve your goals. You may therefore decide to connect with them or not, or it may just be a question of having a nice chat and then that's it. So A-listers we're focusing on. Now, there are quite a few different aspects to think about when you are thinking about your A-list target clients. First of all, business development on the right-hand side here. And we obviously have customers or prospects, and you will be wanting to find them and invite them to connect such that you can enter into a dialogue and take that relationship further. So that's pretty clear. Then we have introducers or intermediaries, as we call them. These are people that it could be trade associations, it could be networking groups, it could be exhibition or conference organizers, for example, where you will find a lot of your customers, but you will not be doing business necessarily with the introducer. But having a connection with them, doing some sharing and caring to mutual benefit so you get access to their customer base is really important. So your A-listers comprise customers, they also comprise introducers. On the left-hand side, what I'd also like you to think about in terms of promoting the brand of you is your professional development. And here, there are two areas to think about. One is that on LinkedIn, online in fact, you will be needing to create quality content. And that is a really hard, long job if you are creating every single piece of content from scratch, from a white sheet of paper. So I'd like you to be thinking about who are the good quality proactive content creators on LinkedIn that I can follow or connect with, and I can then therefore get access to their content and use that as part of my content development strategy. So you want to be hunting these people down, you want to be inviting them to connect, or you want to be following them so that their content will appear in your news feed, and you can then use that content, obviously in line with best practice, accrediting the source, putting a link back to their resources as well, but that you can use their content to make that content creation job for you more easy, more effective, and perhaps even better quality because there's more richness there as well. And then we have business influencers, that professional development aspect. Who do you look up to keep you top of your game, where you get new information, creative, innovative ideas, where you actually do your continuous professional development? Who do you look up to? Who do you go to? Because if you can, you want to be connecting with them, or you want to be following them. And often when people get a large number of connections, they will switch off connections and they'll go to just follow me because they're creating prolific content on LinkedIn. So who are they? And a good way to think about this is if you were putting on a big event in the region, who would you invite to speak at that event? You know, whose books do you read? They may write books, they may create the odd article. They're not content creators as a day job, but they are people that you want to keep an eye on. So some things to think about there for you. There are, this in particular is in your workbook. Take some time, pick at least 3 to 5 types of customers, types of connections within each of these areas, put some more detail to it, and really include this as part of your creating new business opportunities processes on LinkedIn. So I'd now like to show you the advanced search, and then we'll be taking some questions if you have any. So the advanced search bar on LinkedIn is in the top left-hand corner of LinkedIn. And you will see here, I have typed in a keyword. I'm doing a search on behalf of clients. We're looking for an architect. I type it in and it brings up 6 million searches on LinkedIn, which I can't really do a huge amount with. It's just too big a number for that to be practical. So I am going to go here to all filters, and I'm going to apply more filters so that I can reduce the number of search results but increase the quality. And this is what the all people filters look like. And I would recommend that you look to doing advanced searches when you're looking to create business opportunities for second degree connections. Why? Because you know your first degree connections. You want to be looking for second degree connections because you might be able to ask for introductions and you know someone who knows them. So it makes that first point of contact easier. Third degree connections are just a bit too far removed. You can, as a basic member on LinkedIn, so not someone who's paying for premium, you can also use this to be more specific about the location. It might be United Kingdom, it might be the USA, it might be Germany. However, you can also specify a city. So in this case, it is Durham. And it will filter through the connections to give you that more targeted search result as well. And you could add an industry here, architecture and planning at the bottom, because I don't want information architects, which would take me into IT, which is not what I am looking for. And you've got past companies and current companies. So have a good look at this. There are various search criteria. As a premium member on LinkedIn, you don't get a great deal that isn't available to basic members other than in-mails, but you do get more of it. So basic members have access to advanced search, premium members have more filters and more searches that they are able to perform. So paying for premium, which I don't think you need necessarily initially, you will be able to do everything that you want to do on the basic version of LinkedIn. So I've applied those filters, and as you can see, based on the filters that I put in there, I've got 21 results, and that's a pretty good basis for doing some targeted business development for me this week or next week. So here you would then look at their profile, you would, and we'll be doing this a little bit later on, you're looking for hooks, you're looking to craft a great connection request to them, and you're looking to think about what can I then do to keep this conversation going. Now, on the basic version of LinkedIn, you would need to keep a separate list, or you could print out some screen grabs of these people and keep that on your desk. If you did go to premium, to Sales Navigator, for example, you would be able to tag these people, you would be able to save these business development lists, and you would be able to do a lot more sophisticated sort of sales pipeline work on LinkedIn's inbuilt CRM. But actually just keeping a record of these will serve you well in the first instance. You can, however, as a basic member, create 3 search alerts here. You'll see on the right-hand side there, this is what it looks like. And you will receive a weekly email from LinkedIn with any new connections who match this search criteria, who have entered your network in that last week. So LinkedIn here is actually starting to do your business development work for you, and you can have up to 3 saved searches with a basic account. So if you imagine you've got 3 searches set up, you've done the filters, you've saved the search, it's giving you 20, 30 results per search. That's 60 business development prospects to go at in a week, more than enough. So use the saved search facility as well, jot that down on your action plan, and that's one of the points for creating new business opportunities on LinkedIn that we can reflect on at the end. So I would suggest, Rory, before we go on to the next session, shall we have a look and see what questions we have coming up?
Yeah, sure thing. We currently actually don't seem to have any questions, so if you
Oh, that's good. Okay,
yeah,
well, I hope it's all making sense to everybody. Bear in mind, if you do have questions, then please drop them in the chat box, and we'll take a short break after this next session and see whether you want to ask anything. I hope this is all making absolute sense.
perfect.
Okay, thanks, Rory. So in this final tip around your customers, what I would like you to do is really get to grips with profiling the customers, your A-list target clients that you want to prioritize, because that's where the richest pickings are. First of all, starting with your existing customers, but also once you've profiled them and you've looked at what does good look like and what works best, you'll then be able to profile your prospects and what are the types of customers that you are going after. So what I recommend to clients typically is that you go back to your customer database. And if you're a brand new company, you need to do the best you can with your own research work and assumptions. But if you have got a year to 3 years worth of track record with customers, go back to your customer database and do what we call customer database analysis, CDA. And you are looking at that data and you will be reviewing it for trends and themes. So you want to set your criteria for that database review. What size company, what turnover, how many staff do they have, what location are they in, what sector? There may be other criteria that are of interest to you. You know, what products and services have they bought from me? Do they pay well? Are they great to work with? If you're working internationally, it could be language issues. It could be, you know, complexities of international distribution. So there's many things that you can think about here. I think another one is just how much fun is it? Do you really love working with this particular type of customer as well? And you'll be wanting to group them into groups. And if you imagine, well, how do I go about grouping clients? If you imagine you have a room with 100 clients in and you want to group them into 3, 4, 5 different groups and put them into separate rooms. Why? Because as you move from room to room, you will change the tone and approach of the messages that you're giving them. You will change the evidence, perhaps use different case studies and examples. So we're looking to group people into groups so that we can use the same communications and the same marketing to reach out to these people. So I would expect you to start off with 3 to 5 core groups that you are focusing on. And, you know, this customer database analysis work is really, really productive. I've not yet had a single client that hasn't had immense value from this. I was just sat with a client in the food and drink sector yesterday who's been through this exercise fully, including interviewing and refining, which I'm coming on to shortly. And they have had huge insights, huge engagement, and also more business coming through, referrals and recommendations, so all sorts of benefits. We'll look at that in a moment. So please, please, please take the time out to do this. Do the customer database analysis review work yourself. Don't get someone else in to do that for you. You will be very pleasantly surprised. This is an incredibly productive piece of work to complete. Once you have your target customer organizational profiles in 3 to 5 key groups, they are the key people that you want to approach. Then you want to be thinking about who is the decision maker within each of those organizations that I want to be profiling. If you're B2C, you'll be wanting to think about who are the groups of customers that I am doing business with, and what does that typical purchaser look like, and creating a profile for that person. And I've got some more information I'll share with you shortly as to where you can read up on this and find out how to do this well. So creating profiles of your decision makers, and you want to give them an identity. Who are they? How old are they? Where do they live typically? Are they married with kids? It's good to understand what makes them tick, what kind of salary might they be commanding, disposable income. How do they want to be communicated with? Where do they hang out, online and offline? What are their goals and aspirations for this year? What's top of mind in terms of what they want to achieve? What are the challenges that they're faced with? What are they most worried about? So all of these aspects, when you think through these, and you may actually have a pretty good idea of what makes your customers tick, get those down on paper. And for each of the organizational groups, you want to be creating a profile of the key decision maker in that particular group. Give that perfect decision maker in that target group, give them a name, give them an identity, and put some flesh to the bone so that you are really creating a personality there. And I'll come on to show you how you might represent that profile once it's completed, and get it up on the wall and make sure that it's there and it's visible, and you are keeping front of mind what your customers' wants and needs and preferences and behaviors online are. So you're creating that profile. Now, that profile, once you've finished it, is all based on your experience and expertise and essentially your assumptions. And we are talking assumptions here. They may be qualified assumptions, but they're still assumptions. So ideally, what I would like you to do is to go out and interview those customers and refine the customer profiles. So I'd be asking you to interview 2 to 3 customers from each group. And before you approach that interview, prepare a questionnaire to use as a prompt, not as a script, so that you've got your key questions that you want to probe and delve into with them. Book a short time slot. I typically recommend 20 minutes. If you can get more time with them, brilliant, but book that in, stick to it. I tend to record the session with their permission, obviously. Don't do it without, that is illegal. But ask permission to record the session. I've never yet had anybody say no. And then I can focus on the conversation. I don't need to focus on taking notes. And with that information, you go back to the profile and you refine the profiles. Now, the beauty of this is these interviews will give you keywords. They give you key phrases. They will give you testimonials. You might even be able to build on case studies using this. It will tell you what their key challenges are this year, what the key things are they are hoping to achieve. They will tell you what social media they use and what time of day they use it. They will tell you what publications they read, where they go for professional development. Do they know anybody else they could recommend that you could talk to? So take time with this. It is a beautiful, beautiful, productive piece of work to do. And once you have created that customer profile, that will form a solid basis for your sales and marketing effort, which is all about creating more business opportunities on LinkedIn. So there is a resource called HubSpot, and these are templates that HubSpot use. This is the URL that you can access these on, but if you simply go and Google HubSpot, how to create personas, it will bring this up for you. The templates are really great. They're in PowerPoint, they're easy to use. And a lot of my customers find them very, very helpful, with a lot of advice on B2B and B2C customer profiling for you to get the most from this piece of work. And the profiles that we create, they're called avatars here. It could be a customer archetype or a customer profile. Some people call it human-centered design. There's lots of different ways of naming this. But here, this is one type. There are many templates on the web that you could possibly access free of charge. Goals and values, challenges and pain points, where they get their information, and their objections and role in the purchase process is just an example of one avatar that we have created. So, the next aspect is, what is your niche? And it's really, really important that you are aware of what niche you can be most active in. Because 67% of clients expect their advisor to have expert knowledge of industry, sector and trends. And this is proven time and time again when we're doing the interviewing with clients. This is such an important element. They really want somebody who knows their stuff. And 40% of clients cite an understanding of their business or their sector in their buying criteria. So you really need to be putting your best foot forward here. Now, as an example, I'll use myself. I left my previous role in 2009 to set up my consultancy company, and I could have gone out as a generalist. And if I'd done so, then I would have really struggled to market my services as a generalist, because I'm not targeting. So nobody feels loved and wanted. Nobody feels that I understand their business or their sector. And I can't really hone in on the people that I really, really want to work with. So this can be a bit of a progression for you. You can become a generalist with a growing interest in certain aspects. And this is a technique and a process we use in the go-to-expert work. You can be a generalist with specialisms, or a specialist finally becoming the expert. So I went from being a consultant to a consultant with an interest in international trade. I was then a consultant with specialisms in manufacturing, engineering, digital and creative, food and drink, professional services, for example, tourism and leisure. And then I became a specialist because I had certain countries, Germany, France, the USA, Australia, where I had specialist knowledge, where I then finally became the go-to expert. So now if I have exporters who want to export to Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and then manufacturers, I am the go-to expert. And actually that becomes super, super easy, because that work tends to find me, rather than me having to go out and market and communicate hard to bring those prospects in. So going niche will make sure that you are better able to target your A-list target clients. So around those specialisms, I would really like you to brainstorm keywords, because if people are searching for you on LinkedIn, and remember, LinkedIn is a brilliantly well optimized resource. So even if they're searching for products or services or specialisms on Google, your LinkedIn profile, if it's well optimized, will be found. So it's important for you to include important keywords in your LinkedIn profile. Just as we search for an architect, for example, on the advanced search, you know, what words can we use to describe your role, your sector, your professional skills, your expertise and your experience? Because many people will search in many different ways. For example, a bookkeeper, an accountant. I need someone to help me with my cash flow. I've got a VAT audit going on. Who can help? So people will search in many different ways. So I'd like you to brainstorm keywords for Google and LinkedIn searches? What are your skill sets as the go-to expert? What is your product and service offer and the unique selling points of that service offer that your customers will be searching for? What do you do for your clients? You know, how does that look? How would they describe that? And you will get this information from your customer profiling work. What is the value, the benefit to them of having bought this from you or having worked with you on this? And what evidence do you have to prove that? So this is really important, particularly in some sectors, that you are not just saying you're great at what you do, that you are actually providing some evidence of that. And people want to know, you know, who you are and what makes you tick. You know, people do business with people that they trust. So a little bit of information around your interests and your passions. So I'd like, as the next point on your action plan, I'd like you to take some time out so that you can be very, very clear about who you actually are and put these keywords into your own LinkedIn profile. This is not necessarily something people think a lot about when you're completing your LinkedIn profile. And a good way of doing this is actually either in person or online to do a buddy session with someone and get them to just talk you through this and record the session, because it's so much easier to get a good quality profile and get good keywords and key phrases and flow when you're actually talking about this rather than sat there thinking about it and jotting down notes on paper. So do a buddy session, get them to interview you, record the session, and then look back over that to get your keywords and your key phrases to use on your profile. And actually, when doing these buddy sessions, that is probably going to become your About Us section. So, and I have a formula for that, which I'll be sharing with you shortly. So this is who I am. You know, this is the brand of you. This is your profile on LinkedIn that you are creating. And it's really important that we get that right. Now, there are 4 places that are critical for your keywords on your LinkedIn profile. First of all, your headline, that piece underneath your image, your headshot, your current and your past work experience, and then your about section, that big executive summary of you as a professional. The keywords in these 4 sections have more juice than they do in the rest of your profile. So make sure you are using those keywords that you research and define in all of these core areas. So that was the first tip, guys. Rory, any questions? Rory, hi, are you there? I think Rory must be taking a... no, you're coming. Good man. Sorry, Rory.
No, it's okay. Okay, let's have a look at these questions. Let's see what we've got here. We've got one question. Here we go. So we have a question from Elizabeth, and it says, please can you give a few more examples of what sort of questions we ask clients when interviewing them to build their profile?
Okay. So you can be asking questions about, you know, how did you search for the product or service that I can offer? What made you select that, to buy that from me or to work with me on that? You know, you're going to be asking them questions about what are the top 3 things you want to achieve this year? What are the top 3 things that you're most worried about this year? What social media do you use? What time of day do you go onto social media? Where do you go for continuous professional development? You might want to ask them things like, you know, who are the influencers that you look up to? Who do you follow? So there's lots of different questions that will just give you more insights and more information. You know, you're wanting as well to understand their buying process. So what do these people need to be able to do within their organizations to make decisions and to buy from you, whether that's products or services?
Brilliant. That's I think that answers the question very well. Okay, so we've also got another question from Nancy, and it says, where do you start when you have lots of random connections?
Where do you start? Lots of random connections. If you have the time and the presence of mind, go to the connection section on your LinkedIn profile and go through those and just assess whether they are good quality. You know, are they a good connection? Is this someone you want to do business with? Have they got good connections I might want to do business with? How good does their profile look? And just start making an assessment as to whether you want to keep that connection or not. Is this just a lot of dross people are going to have to wade through to get to the good stuff, or are each of my connections worthwhile keeping? If you've got thousands of connections, just do it on an iterative basis and make the most of what you have. Otherwise, it will take you weeks to get through that.
Brilliant. Okay, I think that's all the questions for now. If you do have any questions, so please do use the Q&A function, and let you carry on, Norma. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Rory. So first impressions are critical. And what we want to be doing here is just making that great first impression. So good head and shoulders shot. These are all real LinkedIn profiles, by the way, that I'm showing you here. So not you snorkeling. Might be quirky, but it's not going to have you putting your best foot forward. Don't use your company logo. LinkedIn terms and conditions are a head and shoulders shot, and we need to see you. People do business with people that they trust. They don't really want to see a logo on a LinkedIn profile. Don't use things like this. It might be humorous, but we need to see your face to really build trust, to network. They want to know who they're networking with. Make sure the image is good quality. You can do that yourself if you're able, or get a photographer in to do that with you. And don't do things like this. It just doesn't make a great impression for all the obvious reasons. Spelling mistakes here. This is the PA to a congressman in the United States. She can't spell congressman, district, or representative. It's quite shocking, actually, that that is a real profile. So make sure you proofread it and the mistakes and errors are eradicated. There are 3 essentials on your profile: your headline, your current and past work, and your about section. So we're going to take a look at each of these. Now, these are clients that I have worked with, and they are pretty good examples. These are in your workbook. Here we've got Vicky Harrison, Director of Prismatic Wealth. Great picture. These are typical target clients of the company. She has the logo on the right-hand side, so when it's in mobile view, it's not obscured had it been in the middle, because Vicky's picture moves to the middle on certain views. The headline section underneath her name here is using the 120 characters available, and she's put keywords in there that are important, and it reads really well. Director of Prismatic Wealth, straight talking specialist financial advice for corporate and private clients. She's directly addressing the people that she wants to work with. This is Liz Drury, voiceover artist. Again, nice imagery and a really great headline there. We have Francis here at Ambic Limited. Again, they have 4 different types of furniture. So she has sectioned up the background image, and because they're exporting, British furniture built to last, because the brand of Buy British is very strong in the markets that they are working in, and a great head and shoulders shot of Vicky to boot. Heather Townsend, author of The Go-To Expert and the Accountants Millionaires Club, amongst other things, and a great lady, has put her books in her LinkedIn profile, and included the URL of the different websites that she wants to promote, and again has keywords in her headline and sets out who she's targeting: accountants, lawyers and consultants, and she's also a speaker and an author. So you need to take time to craft a great LinkedIn profile. We have here Simon Bourne, and he's just said the shoe guy. That's his strapline, but he has a great LinkedIn resource and actually used LinkedIn for quite a long time before he got his website sorted out as the key promotional tool to sell his hand-dyed shoes. And finally here, Solar Glide, they have got a template approach to their LinkedIn profiles that is shared across the entire team with some adaptation for the individual's content and the tone and approach on the page. So again, that's a good way to get not just a good personal profile, but blend in impressions of the organization by having a similar brand identity across all of the profiles. So those are set out in your workbook, and you will be able to use the workbook to go in and start thinking about creating a great headline. So 120 characters to showcase your personality. Keywords and key phrases are important. Industry or sector specialism and the value that you bring your clients. Pulling it all together and making sure that it reads well. Juicy, juicy, juicy. Search engine optimization benefit here in getting that right, but it also makes a great impression on the reader. Your about section, 2,600 characters, sets out who you are and what you do, who you help. We want to focus on the customer first, you second, and how you help them and what the benefits to them are of working with you. So telling them what you can do for them rather than just telling them what you do. How to get in touch with you. So at the end of the about section, if you have a look at mine, I've got a little bit about let's have a virtual coffee, a call to action, and how they can get in touch with me, because if they're not first degree connections, they're probably not going to be able to see your contact information. Your profile needs to be easy to read and scan, and I would recommend headlines, bullets, short sentences, and keep it neat, concise, and to the point. Now, there is a formula for developing your LinkedIn profile. First of all, inject your personality into your profile. Your profile is your virtual business development manager, and we want that to work really well for you. The first line of that first paragraph needs to have a hook there. It really needs to inspire people to read on. So that first sentence or two is the most important part of the entire profile. What are the pain points and the problems that you are solving for the customer? Set that out next. And then who is the customer? Who are you serving, whether that's B2B or B2C? Name them, give examples of them. And what are your unique selling points against your competitors? What makes buying from you or doing business with you different or particularly unique, so that people have a reason to choose you? And then we need to build in some what we call credibility or relationship hooks, some evidence. You know, what evidence? We call them badges and battle scars, you know, naming numbers of clients you've worked with, or particular accounts, or particular big achievements, or companies, results that you have brought home. So just think about what you can put in here. It could be incredibly subtle, like clients tell me that I'm somebody who really knows their stuff, to actually saying I've worked with 4,750 clients over X years and we've achieved these results, da, 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 da. So just spell out what is going to be meaningful to your customers, what will give them confidence to do business with you. You will need what I call a boilerplate paragraph about the company that is keyword rich. You will expand on that more in the actual experience section where you're talking about the business, past or current. But you will want to put a little bit here in the about section, and then share some personal sound bites. Who are you today? What are your values? Who do you know, why do you love doing what you do? You know, what makes that work best for you? And then at the very end, contact information and a call to action. So I like to say, you know, here are my contact details. Let's organize a virtual coffee and have a chat and see if there's mutual benefit in talking further. But a call to action, just inviting the person to connect and get in touch with you. You can at the bottom then also include your specialities and keywords. Personally, I don't do that. I like to incorporate them in the profile, but that's a decision that you can make. So once you've got your profile sorted, I would like you to have it on your website, like Colin Heron here at Zero Carbon Futures. You can see at the bottom on the right-hand side, there is a link through to the LinkedIn profile. And Solar Glide here, again, they include the LinkedIn profile links on their website. Put it on your email footer, on your business cards. You might want to include the QR code, remember. So it's about you getting the message out there that you have got a great LinkedIn profile and you want to be using it accordingly. So now you've got a cracking LinkedIn profile. How do you connect to your A-listers? And you have targeting options on LinkedIn, first level contacts, and you can communicate with them as much as you want. And you've then got second and third level connections that you may want to contact. Now, LinkedIn says you can send them a connection request, but you shouldn't be cold calling them. You should be writing a personalized connection request and reaching out to them such that you have the likelihood of them accepting and saying yes. If you are a premium member, you can use what's called an in-mail to reach out to people where you might not know them, and you get a certain number of in-mails per month pending your premium service. And that is obviously paid for. They're not available to basic members. If you are members of groups, you can actually reach out to people in groups and look to connect with them that way. So you've got a number of different options there. I would like to take you through the connection request for those of you that aren't familiar with it. Here, I'm inviting a chap called Remigius in Vilnius in Latvia. In Lithuania, to connect with me. So I have 300 characters here that I am, and you'll see there's a 300 at the bottom there, that I can use for free as a basic member on LinkedIn to send out a connection request. I want to personalize that. So I've had a look at Remigius's profile, and he knows someone we have in common, Sandra Kundrota. So I've mentioned her and just said how much I love Vilnius, which is very true and very heartfelt. You can write this in Word and check the word and character count. Remember, 300 characters with spaces, and then send that off to Remigius. Make sure you check out the profile first and you create a tailored, friendly message that has the best chance of a positive response. Because if I get a connection request, I don't recognize the face, it's not a personal approach, the profile doesn't look trustworthy, I will ignore it. And when I ignore it, you will notice when you do this next, a pop-up appears, I don't know this person, or report for abuse. And if I click on I don't know this person because I genuinely don't know them, and a lot of people do that when you're sending out LinkedIn requests, A little black mark goes next to your profile back at Ranch LinkedIn. And if you do too much of that, your profile will become less and less visible, and you may at some point get a message from LinkedIn for spamming. So we want our requests to be accepted. So here's a story. David Sabucci, I wanted to connect with him in Canada. I found his profile, a great guy. I looked at his profile. He'd written a book about growing up as a Japanese boy in Canada. I bought it, read it, crafted a really nice 300 character message. And thankfully, David, and mentioned that I'd read the book, David contacted me with a lovely message on LinkedIn within an hour, and we've been communicating ever since. I was about to head out to Canada on a business trip. My profile views went up over 460% in a few months because he has a great profile and he's incredibly well connected. By being connected to David, I got access to all of his connections. So again, creating business opportunities through doing these small things incredibly well. InMails look like this. So I would click on message and the InMail message comes up. If I'm a premium member, I can write an approach here to Suresh Kumar in Canada. Again, the InMails are available in premium services only. You can roll them over for 90 days and then they expire. So if you don't use last month's, they get rolled over to this month and then to the next month. You don't need to be a first degree connection, obviously, to send an InMail. They are intended for second and third degree connections or people you don't know. That person, if they don't respond, has a reminder sent to them after 3 days. And in the title, you have 200 characters. In the body, almost 2,000 characters, 1,900. So you can really expand. And the good thing is, if that person responds to the InMail, you get the InMail credited back to your account. If you need more, then you can pay $10 per InMail over allocation. And it might sound like a lot, but well-positioned InMails can lead to new business. So, you know, I would recommend spending the money and going for it if you have a good crafted message that you think will be successful. Now, when you are sending out mobile invitations, please resist clicking on connect because that automatically sends out one of those impersonal, I'd like to add you to my professional network on LinkedIn messages. So you want to be clicking on more, and then it will bring up this screen where you can actually personalize the invitation. So always, always please personalize the invitation. It is important that you do so, that that person feels that, you know, you're paying them attention and want to connect with them. And the other tip I have to make here is, again, all of these elements that you can tap into here on that more button, both on the mobile, but also on your laptops or computers. And this indeed is where you would remove a connection, unfollow people, recommend, request a recommendation, etc., sharing profiles. So you get a lot more functionality here when you tap into that more section. So please check that out as well, the additional features. Now, if you personalize that invitation, we know from LinkedIn research that you will get a 60% higher response rate to those connection requests. So, any questions here?
Yes, we have got one question. It's from Rebecca, and she's asking, would you recommend using a headshot image or logo for a LinkedIn business page?
A headshot image, absolutely every time, not a logo.
There we go, that we have it.
See who they're networking with and doing business with.
Here we go, and we've just got a question coming now. from Sarah. Are you able to attach anything to your invites?
No, just the message, nothing else. Once you're connected, then you can attach things, but you need that first degree connection.
Yeah. 2 quick questions, 2 quick answers. So
Okay,
are you okay to carry on?
fabulous. Yeah,
Yeah.
good stuff. Thanks,
Good.
Rory.
Thank you.
So I get asked this a huge amount. You're connected, now what? You know, we've got lots of connections on our profile. What do we do next? Now, when you connect with people and they accept, you will get a notification back to you. And we know that generally in a sales context, you get a higher conversion rate if leads or connections are followed up within an hour. And if it is a genuine lead, that's even more important. A connection request, you want to be entering into a conversation when it's fresh of mind. And just worth mentioning that 50% plus of us take 5 days or more often to follow up on leads. So just bear this in mind. This gives you a great competitive advantage. So your connections have accepted. What next? And this is all about having something to say, getting into conversation, but not selling. People are here to network. Anybody who connects with me and I then get a sales pitch, I typically would go on and just remove the connection, unless they've done it incredibly well, and that happens very rarely. So you're about to start a conversation, and because you've done good customer profiling, you will be in a good position to know what customer group that individual belongs to and what they are likely to be interested in by way of their aspirations and their challenges over the coming period, and to start a conversation. It may well be that you start a conversation about that. It could be you find some hooks like the book that I showed you, David Sabucci's book, on their LinkedIn profile, and you start a conversation. What I recommend you do is you actually give value, you give benefit. And I'm always scouting on LinkedIn for new business opportunities or leads or such like, where I can actually say, oh, by the way, such and such, I saw on your profile that you're looking for XYZ, here's some suggestions, or this is useful information. So I'm looking to give value. Review that profile for hooks, because you can see whether that person's had a look at your LinkedIn profile or not. And actually, if you've got, let's say, 20 prospects from your advanced searches and business development for this particular week, how many of those people would you like to enter into conversation with? And I would suggest somewhere between 5 or 10 of them would be a good hit rate. Follow up in 24 to 28 hours. The quicker you follow up, then the more effective that is going to be. And be patient and take care. And, you know, keep that list of business development prospects on your desk, make notes, enter them into your CRM, whatever you're using, keep tabs. If it's on LinkedIn, it'll be Sales Navigator. If not, you'll have your own tools, either hard copy or online. Capsule, for example, is good for pipeline. And take care and test different approaches with key target markets and key profiles in terms of what works well and what doesn't well. And you will be learning as you're doing this, but by making careful notes, you will understand the value. Now, there is a great tool that just helps with how to communicate to these individuals, and it's called Crystal Knows. Again, another one for you to check out on your action plan. And you can see here on the right-hand side, I've got the premium version of Crystal Knows. You get 10 free goes on Crystal Knows with the basic service. And you can click here on View Personality, and it gives me this overview of David's personality, and they profess 70 to 80% accuracy. And this tool is amazing. It has transformed how I work on LinkedIn, and I thought I was pretty good anyway. So it gives you a top overview of his personality, likes and dislikes, and then in the full report, you get the opportunity to say, I need to call David or meet with him or write to him or email him to make a sales pitch or get him to make a decision or to discuss something or to make a great impression. So Crystal Knows will actually give you words and prompts and tell you about tone and approach. So a great tool for you to try out, and you can print these out, you can PDF them and save them, and there's a lot more information on the full profile version on Crystal Knows. So a good one for you to think about. So when you're engaging with new connections, send them a welcome message, review the profile for hooks, share content with them, schedule a call, you know, would you like a virtual coffee? Let's see if there's any mutual benefit in us talking further. You might introduce them to a new connection or just share some news and advice or ask for expert advice. There's also a new facility on LinkedIn that you can send a voice message, which can be quite nice, but don't overdo it because people aren't always able to listen to them easily if they're sat in an office. And just have this as a process and add this to your follow-up process, I think is really, really important. So be clear about what next, you know, how you are going to be taking that further. Now, a good thing to do, both in terms of prospects, if it's someone you know, is actually to give them a recommendation, but you can also ask for recommendations because these will give your LinkedIn profile much more credibility. And because LinkedIn likes recommendations on all-star profiles, it just helps them sort out the good from the great. The more quality, up-to-date, relevant recommendations you have on the profile, the more SEO benefit you get. Did you hear that, guys? Recommendations give you SEO benefit in LinkedIn's algorithms. So make sure you have a good number of recommendations on your profile. And they are heartfelt, they need to be well written. If someone writes a recommendation for you, you can review it, you can ask for edits, and you then approve it and publish it to your LinkedIn profile. You can remove it or hide it. So you have full control over these recommendations. And I would also recommend, as part of your process, that you give recommendations to others as well. Very important that you get to grips with that because it does add huge benefit. And, you know, testimonials and recommendations give incredible value to your profile and to your offer. People really look at these recommendations and they increase the trust factor immeasurably. So please give these a lot of due care and attention. So this is a stress-free approach to recommendations, just capturing that for you. They're proof of your value and a reason to choose you. I recommend 10 minimum on your profile. They are keyword searchable and they give you priority in the algorithms. So when you ask people for a recommendation, and I would recommend you talk to them in person or on the phone first and ask, and then go through LinkedIn's asking for a recommendation process. When you talk to them, just give them a couple of keywords that you'd like them to include. Recommendations are only possible from first level connections, but they do lend huge credibility and authority. So I would suggest on your action plan that you look to get 3 to 5 recommendations a month. Don't publish them all at once, do that week by week. And I think you will see that they make a huge difference. And of course, once you've got those recommendations on your LinkedIn profile, you can ask permission to use that on your website. I use the recommendations on workshops and on proposals and such like. So they're really great things to have there available to you. The nice thing is, once you've got those recommendations up there, and this is how you request a recommendation on LinkedIn from the More button, but you can see here, you can actually save your profile to a PDF. It's just above that recommendation section here. And you can PDF that up and you can attach that to proposals. You can send it to people and you've got all of those up-to-date recommendations on there as well. So this is a great tool to use as part of your business development activities. So
Right, sorry, we are experiencing some technical difficulties, I think, here. So we'll just wait again to see if it'll sort itself out.
So this is all about posting.
Hi, Norma. Sorry to interrupt. We've just missed about 20 seconds there. You just cut out for about 20 seconds. Is it okay if you just recap the last sort of?
Oh, for sure. Yes. Thank you for letting me know. So yes, this is the facility where we request recommendations on the More button on someone's profile and give recommendations. Please talk to people on the phone before you go through this process or in person. And here you can also save your profile or someone else's profile to a PDF. You could use it for yourself and your team members if you're putting in proposals, and that can save you a lot of work, but you've got all of those wonderful recommendations up there as well. And recommendations lend credibility and authority, and they really contribute to the trust factor. So please do work on these and make sure you get them right. So posting and building reach and reputation. And this is all about leveraging that amazing profile that you have now developed and creating content and posting with purpose. So you've got a brilliant profile. We want to now start using this posting and article writing experience. And articles are okay. They don't, I think, anymore create a huge amount of value on LinkedIn. So I recommend you do them about once a month. But what I would like you to use effectively is actually posting. And when you click on start a post, and you can, just go back there. You can see you can attach an image, you can attach a video, and you can attach a document or a presentation. We get into the post here, and you can also change who you want this to go to. So here in the middle, we've got the anyone button. It can be to anyone and Twitter. If you've linked your Twitter and LinkedIn profiles together, it could just go to your connections. It can go to groups, etc. So you can actually change who you want this to go to. I recommend you keep it very open. And here you see the selections, and I typically would do anyone and Twitter. Now, it's not going out to all 690 million people. LinkedIn decide who that's going to be displayed to, but it gives you more visibility. And please, at the bottom, also allow comments on the post, because comments are the fuel that drives the engine. You have 1,300 characters maximum for a post. Bear in mind the first 280 characters will be visible on Twitter, so you want to make sure that they are well crafted and a rounded message for you on Twitter. Now, how to post with purpose? Well, your posts are mainly being written for your A-list clients. So you want to be posting content that hits their priorities and their challenges that they are going to be most interested in. I would recommend you set aside time for content creation, and you do that thinking and planning of your content strategy. I recommend 3 months ahead with 1 month in detail, and then do it. But above all, on LinkedIn, don't use scheduling tools. LinkedIn doesn't like them. They want you to be posting directly in LinkedIn. And I know that might be a nuisance for some of you that use Hootsuite or whatever, but please do pay attention to this. LinkedIn gives preferences to posts that are posted directly on LinkedIn. Authenticity rules. We want you to be reflecting your expertise here, and early engagement is absolutely critical. So set up a few people to start commenting and joining in the conversation on that LinkedIn post, and post it at a time which you will understand from your customer profiling, because you asked the question, posting at a time where you know the most people are online. For my A-list target clients, that's first thing in the morning, lunchtime, and around 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. And on a Sunday evening, because my target A-listers are prepping for the next day. So you will get to know what that golden hour is, because the more comments you get on a post in the golden hour, the more rocket fuel it gets and the higher it will perform for the rest of the time on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's algorithms look really critically at that first golden hour. Now, engagement, the kudos and the emojis that you can click on, the shares are all well and good, but actually the comments are what creates the most SEO benefit. And you need to be putting at least 4 words into a comment for LinkedIn's algorithms to look at it. So no, that's great or well done. We need at least 4 words for that to register with the algorithms. Don't sell. Gary Vaynerchuk says that, you know, LinkedIn needs to be like TV without the advert, so we don't want selling here. And please get smart with your content hooks as well, and just check your statistics and make sure that your posts are working well for you. And you know, Gary Vaynerchuk, when it comes down to this selling aspect, he sort of says, for every 99 pushes, you get 1 pull. For every 9 social posts, you get 1 post that is about selling. So try and keep a nice balanced ratio there. So diving into the content style and preferences, we have text posts, short or long form. So the short posts are the long articles. I'm sticking to posts because they bring the best advantage. And I would recommend you include images, and you do at least 2 to 3 per week. Images you can get free on Pixabay, Pexels, Unsplash. 135 Images are all great resources for you to get free images from. I use a lot from Unsplash, which is an awesome resource. If you want to upload documents, there is a great profile here from John Espirian, which shows great use of documents and how to maximize that. So check out John Espirian's profile. And if you are tagging people, please only do that with permission. And I would recommend that you only tag people who you are very confident will respond. I often see people tagging 5, 10, 15 people on LinkedIn, and it's crazy, because if those people don't respond, LinkedIn's algorithms will drop you down in terms of performance. So if you tag someone, make sure they're going to enter in the conversation. Less than 4% of posts have video on, surprisingly enough, and 85% of people will be listening to video posts without the sound. So you have a great opportunity here to do video and to do it really, really well. And there is a raft of video editing software that you can use for captions and such like, and I've got them listed again at the end for you. Quick Capwing for doing captions, rev.com, Clipomatic for doing those ticker tape comments on video, and iMovie to edit and add subtitles. And of course, we've got LinkedIn Live coming. Some of you may have that already, some of you may not, but that video facility on LinkedIn will be absolutely amazing once it reaches you all. I have got a piece on hashtags coming up. Choose your hashtags carefully. Yes, they are great value on LinkedIn. Definitely use no more than 3 on any post that you put out there, because any more than that is counterproductive. When you're using a hashtag, no spaces, no capitalization, symbols, punctuation, and make sure that the spelling is correct. 3 to 5 hashtags maximum. Definitely no more than 6. If you have more than 6 hashtags, you're going to get very, very negative results. And you might want to create your own. I've got hashtag business by heart, which I use a great deal. So using the right niche hashtag can also be of benefit. So hashtag, and this is research done by Richard van der Blom in the Netherlands. He researched 3,000 LinkedIn posts. They do influence the algorithm. If you don't use any hashtags at all, your post will have 50% less impact on the newsfeed of your target clients. And 3 hashtags is the magic number. That's what you need to be aiming for. Not too many, not too few. Too many negatively affects views, especially 6 or more. So don't go crazy on hashtags, guys. Good quality ones and 3 as recommended. You will, on your LinkedIn profile page, you'll be able to, sorry, on your homepage, you'll be able to see your followed hashtags and discover more. And I have got here for you as well, thanks to the sublime Andy Foote, who's done research into the top 100 hashtags on LinkedIn in 2019. So you have the URL there. You could just Google Andy Foote Hot 100 LinkedIn tags. And you'll be able to look at what popular hashtags there are for your particular business and your particular sector. So keep it simple, produce content regularly, make sure you get it distributed widely. You need to be creating, curating and recycling content, and obviously working to a solid content plan, which we've also talked about, 1 month in detail and 3 months forward view. That way you can plan ahead and maybe even get some contributors to help you out with your LinkedIn content. And use words, images and video. Now, based on your LinkedIn profiling, you'll be checking out what people's anxieties and aspirations are. We have that from the customer profiling exercises that you did. So it's really easy for you to refer back to that and say, well, based on the challenges, the top 3 challenges these people are facing this particular year, what tips and advice can I give to those target clients, and what tips and advice can I give them in terms of their aspirations? And that is a really, really easy way to approach your content themes. So if they say, for example, you know, my anxiety this year is around business development. We know from our research that that's one of people's key concerns. So I'm going to do a post around how to do effective business development, because I know that my clients are really interested in that. And I am then going to be creating new ideas for social content by completing these following sentences around that particular topic. So it could be top 10 things to look for when doing business development, a 3-step guide to selecting target clients when doing business development, 5 questions to ask when planning for, 10 common mistakes made by people when undertaking business development. So you can see you can very quickly go from a theme to top 10 tips. And it may seem a little bit corny, but actually top 10, the top 7, the 5 most are still amongst the best performing posts on LinkedIn and in terms of online content on social media. So that gives you a really easy way to maximize the customer profiling work that you've done, but also to create posts that are going to perform well for you because they're based on topics your customers are most interested in, and they're written in a nice, easy, accessible format. So we'd like you to be creating 10% of your content yourself, writing articles and posts from scratch. However, 40% of the posts that you write are going to be you looking at content from the content creators who you've followed or connected with, whose articles and posts come into your news feed, and you're going to be taking their comments and their content and compiling that into posts and articles of your own, accrediting the source, but not having to write those articles and posts from scratch yourself. And then 50% is published as is. You're just sharing and commenting on quality content that you find. So doing that, you've reduced that burden of content creation to 10% that you need to create monthly yourself, and 90% where you can access content creators and other people's resources to ease the burden on yourself. So here are some of the tools for images: Unsplash, Morguefile, Canva is a brilliant resource, and Dreams Time. They're all ones that I would recommend strongly to you for images, videos, and templates. SimilarWeb is great for checking out more websites like this one, so also good for competitor research and customer research. BuzzSumo will tell you what content performs well on social media, and Death to the Stock Image, Pixlr, and these others, Rev and Clipomatic, are all resources that will help you create quality images and captions and such like online. So free resources there for you to tap into. So quick summary of what works: comments are absolute king. Engagement within the first golden hour is critical. And make sure you're engaging with followers and keep them in the loop. You know, if you get a connection request, then please start having a conversation with them and sharing content with them in that first week, because if you do, their content remains in your home feed, and more importantly, your content remains in their home feed as well. 3 hashtags only. Never use more than 5 users when tagging and people who respond. Comment on posts you want to see more of, and have conversations in post threads, and make sure that those conversations are 4 words or more, because otherwise they don't hit LinkedIn's algorithms. And measure engagement, how many people are engaging with your content, not views. So finally, planning. 12 minutes a day makes an hour a week is all you need to keep on top of your business development. Once you have that profile in great shape, preparing to plan, so putting that effort in to get your profile up to scratch so that the implementation and monitoring and performance is even better. So simple, smart goals, be accountable, have a written plan, take the workbook from this session, and please make sure that you know, you're going through some of the exercises and maximizing on the value here. Break down your goals into daily, weekly, and monthly, and I've got some suggestions for you. And celebrate rewards and successes, maybe on your own, but share it with team members or with colleagues or friends, and get contributors to help you with the content. So they're my top tips for you on LinkedIn. And a smart schedule for you in terms of daily, weekly, and monthly tasks. On a daily basis, check and respond to notifications, add connections, and create one post a day, but certainly 2 to 3 a week if you can't manage it daily. Do messages to people, birthdays, and do like and share on other people's posts. Run a Boolean search. That's an advanced technique you could check out on the web, just about doing advanced search in a more sophisticated manner. And you can check out who's viewed your profile and engage with them as well. On a weekly basis, review saved search results, check out your SSI score, and respond to acceptances and get into conversation. And on a weekly basis, give a few and ask for recommendations. And then monthly, write an article. Again, you might want to provide a free resource or something to accompany that. And on LinkedIn, you can back up your data, which I recommend you do every 3 months. That's your connections and your content. Again, if you're not sure how to do that, go to the help section and you can check out how to do that effectively. So a smart LinkedIn schedule to help you create new business opportunities on LinkedIn. So there you go, our top 7 tips for you. And Rory, I will come back to you and just see whether we have any connections. And I know I've overrun by a few minutes, forgive me. I hope that's not causing too many issues.
No, it's absolutely spot on, pretty much bang on to time. And yeah, what I'm going to do now is actually, before we start the Q&A, is just stop the recording and just say thank you very much for such a great session today, Norma.
Lovely, thank you.